certainly was in teams where you come to a point where, you know, you have to make a decision because there's other riders, you know, with the same plan and, you know, capable of winning the race. So you have to take the advantage and maybe go out early in the race because of your teammates. It's not the first time. World Championships, I think we've seen it so many times with the big nations where they have, you know, so many leaders and so many chiefs and not enough Indians.
Well, we'll see. Adrenaline is a strange thing. Tony Martin is capable of getting back on here, and he's been climbing extremely well, and here he is. We'll see how far back he has to battle. But right now, it's mobbed out front, and suddenly it is the Giant Boys who are there working for Tom Dumoulin, the big rangy Dutchman, dead centre of the road at the moment in a safe place. 2 minutes and 47. They're on a 1K climb, maxing at 16%. And this is the Isa Bosweg. It averages 8.1, but with that nasty test. And it looks to me like Tony Martin will have a chance of getting back on here. He's already just meeting some of those who are struggling on the climb. He's been climbing very well, Sean. I think you might be right. Maybe he was an inter-team threat, but I don't think Michael Kwiatkowski really deliberately took him out.
No, I don't think he realised it was Tony Martin was on his shoulder there. The problem is for Tony Martin here is, you know, riders losing contact. The commissar is going to, you know, just to hold back the team cars as we see Vogler opening up, and this is not going to make it easy for anybody to get back into the main peloton. But you know, when you have riders losing contact, then it's very difficult to get back because they are not going to allow the cars, the cavalcade, to stay following the peloton.
What did we say? 40 kilometres to go. Watch out. And Tommy Vogler has decided to go for it. He's a little bit further back than that. You still see the breakaway listed at 2 minutes and 50 up the road, but Vogler has decided it's now that he wants to roll the dice, and he knows, Sean, that there's a sequence of climbs here that roll one into the other, and he needs to be in a decent place, and for him that's up front.
Yes, and I think he knows that he has to get out of this main group of big favourites, and we can see there, you know, he's taking a number of riders with him. Omega Pharma Quickstep have Stybar with him there, and that is something that we talked about earlier on. You get to that, you know, 30-40 kilometres, then some of the riders who feel they can do something only if they get away in a breakaway and get away from the big riders like Valverde, like Philippe Gilbert, because in the final they cannot match those real strong punchy riders, and Vogler is a one who do that quite well. Van Avermaet from BMC also been sent up there. We also see Ulrika Greenedge. So a lot of the big teams are just sending one, and this could be a group that could pull away unless there's a reaction immediately from the main peloton.
Well, Greg Van Avermaet, what a card to play. He is, both he and Tommy Vogler, more than capable of winning this race. Let's not forget that. And that's going to send off alarm bells ringing amongst the main bunch. And here we are. It is quality. For Orica Greenedge as well, we've got Peter Weening in the pack here. There's Tommy Vogler, who kind of lit the touch paper and started all this off. And they are going to have to start working together. It's Stybar, you know, for Omega Pharma, who is within this group. And Jakob Fuglsang from Astana as well. That's quality. How far away they'll be allowed to go is anyone's guess. I guess as well, Sean, that if you have a team with an interest, it's actually easy to mob the road in a situation like this and just hold up those who might be minded to bridge over to them.
Well, I think the teams that are up there, you have BMC, of course. They were the ones who were controlling a bit on the front of the peloton for most of the day. They are going to, you know, play the card of Greg Van Avermaet now. Omega Pharma Quickstep with Stybar, they are going to just, you know, allow it to happen up front. So it's going to be an interesting one back in the peloton. Who's going to take the chase? Who's going to chase up? Astana also with a man up here. So it's going to be, you know, Movistar, the team who really missed out, who've been controlling the situation. Of course, there is the other team, the Dutch team of Giant Shimano. They are also very much at the front, so it will be an interesting one now. Can they join forces with Movistar to try and control this? Because if they allow this group to take 30-40 seconds, it's a difficult one to haul back.
Certainly is. So here we are, Peter Weening at the back for Orica Greenedge, just rolling through your screen there. Greg Van Avermaet. Also here is Tim Wellens, as you can see. Jakob Fuglsang for Astana, and Thomas Vogler, Tommy Vogler, old Tommy Gunn himself, just letting off a magazine full, and away he goes. Meanwhile, these guys, here they are. Riblon, Van Heck and Nico Bohem. Handy, you might say, but 2 minutes and 40, long shot in extremis. Well, here we are. We'll be waiting to see what the intermediate gap is. Tommy Voeckler just rolling like a good, and he'll be starting to pull those faces that we're all so familiar with in a few moments' time. He loves a crowd, Tommy Voeckler. He responds almost instinctively to it as well, and he's not averse to just ploughing his way through a packed road, and that might well be something he's going to have to be very adept at a little bit later on. Taking a drink, is he? No, sitting up and already beginning the internal conversation with himself. And here come the chasers, who will also want to take on a last bit of liquid, perhaps, ahead of today. And, yeah, if you miss your bottle, it's, as you can see, quite a nervy time behind. Simon Gerrans takes a big swig, a massive toke. He gets what he needs. Kwiatkowski is there. He's about position 20 in this group. I'm just waiting to see whether poor old Tony Martin, world time trial champion, has actually managed to get himself back on. So Fuglsang, Van Avermaet, Tim Wellens, Stibar and Wiening are the men that you're looking at right now. And of course Tommy Voeckler gets his own page. Why not? And ahead of that, some say head and shoulders in terms of bangs for buck, I think you might say. This man knows how to entertain, and he's doing it today. 38 kilometers to go, and it's yet another climb. We said that they came in very short order. In fact, it doesn't appear that that counter has actually diminished in any way. I remember saying 39 kilometers some time ago, but nonetheless, here's Tommy Voeckler. Maybe they're just giving a secondary group and their distance. I don't think so. It seems to have jammed up. And in fact, they're all over the place graphically at the moment. It just went to 3K, so we'll ignore that for the time being, shall we? I think transponder issues, Sean, catching us out.
Yes, 3 kilometres. Some riders would like to see that, but unfortunately it's not the case. As we can see, 37 kilometres to go, 2:38 the advantage.
Andy Bell says if anyone can time trial his way back on, it's got to be Tony Martin. Sean, adrenaline is a strange thing. Can Tony Martin use that to his advantage, or is it a big ask with this pace now?
Well, I think he's capable of doing it, but you know, the effort you have to do there, and if you make a big effort to get on to the peloton and then you arrive in a climb, and we have seen there when Tony Martin was coming back through the cavalcade of team cars, there was riders losing contact, and of course the commissar, he stops the cars. He does not allow the team cars to stay directly behind the peloton in that case. So you're in no man's land when you come over the top of a climb, and that takes a huge effort to get back in there. So if he does make it back in, I think he will pay on the following climbs, and they are coming, hot and fast at the moment. So it's difficult to see him recovering from the effort if he does get back.
The Fromberg is beckoning next. We'll still see riders on the Eiserbosweg, but the Fromberg is coming up almost immediately afterwards. The Fromberg's not that much of a test. We have the Kutenberg, which is 700 meters at 9.4%, but has got some very, very steep sections. Then we'll have the Coburg for the third time of asking. We do it 4 times, don't forget. It will be our final climb, and after they do it for the last time, there is 1,800 meters to go. There are your intermediate gaps. That secondary group now have got approaching, what, 50 seconds on the chasers, a little bit less than that, which is very good news for these boys, and particularly for the likes of Tommy Voeckler, who are within this pack and capable of winning. So is Greg Van Avermaet from BMC, and he's here, and he doesn't have to do too much work because he's not riding for himself. He's riding for Philippe Gilbert behind. He may well get the word, go for it, but not just yet, and he's got a perfect excuse to let others do the punishment. There is the gap, and it's nowhere near what was declared on our screens a few moments ago. So clearly the transponders are having trouble in the Oni Hills, which exist in Holland. And we're riding them again and again and again here in the Dutch Ardennes. Absolutely fantastic. The Dutch love this, so do we, Sean. It's a very lively race, particularly absolutely right now.
Yes, well, when you get to this point, it's going to be lively, and we can see the attack of Thomas Vogler has really opened it up, and the peloton has got, you know, to react here and try and chase this one. And it's Katusha at the moment who are taking control on the front end of the peloton, and you know, the advantage, our 6 attackers here with Vogler, Stuyber, Van Avermaet, Fuglsang, it's minimum the advantage at the moment. So the peloton reacted very quickly, because the 6 guys seems to be, you know, rolling, working quite well together, but they realise that if they allow this one to go and take 30-40 seconds, well, then it's going to be a major job to pull those riders back. And of course, if that happens, you know, the teams like BMC, like Omega Pharma, Quick Step, Orica, Green Edge, Lotto, they will all play the card of the man they have out front. So it's limited, you know, the number of riders, the number of teams you have to take up the chase. As we can see here, our 6 attackers are about to be closed down.
RVD on Twitter says he knows the circuit, and he ain't coming back. That's Martin, that is. Tommy Vogler ain't coming back either, and he has seen the pack getting rather close and doesn't like it at all. And he's trying to spur these guys on. He'll start berating them and asking for help. Right now, the big passenger amongst these boys is Greg Van Avermaet from BMC in the black and red. Plum at the back. He doesn't have to do the duty. Tommy Vogler, I guess, if they all came to that final climb, would certainly be amongst the favourites in this company. But Stuyber as well, who had so much ill fortune, don't forget, last season on the Paris-Roubaix, he's here for Omega Pharma Quickstep, also within this choice group, I think we can call it. 35 kilometres to go, 2 minutes and 17, a little bit less than that right now. I just hope that Tony Martin is okay. At least he fell into a soft bush. I guess that's the best of it. 35 k's to go, still they roll. It's a lovely part of the world. Very much reminds me of the Derbyshire Dales, this, just sort of gently rolling. But you can see this deep into a race that's 250 odd kilometres in length. They've done over 200 so far, Sean, and these climbs must be feeling like mountains.
Yes, well, when you get over the 200 kilometres, they start to, you know, some riders start to, you know, get into difficulty. Then you get to the 220, and you know, more riders start feeling that fatigue. And when you really, you know, race at 100%, well, then, you know, everybody is under quite a bit of pressure. But it's the guys who are really good shape and the guys who can manage that 250 kilometres quite easy. And they have won races over that distance before. And, you know, we've talked about many times where there's riders who can win 200-kilometre races, but when it goes to that 230, 250, they're not able to do it. And, you know, if you look back through riders and through their careers, there is quite a few riders who have that problem. But it really puts the riders to the test. When you get into the final 30 kilometres with 220 kilometres done, that's where it's really going to hurt. And on this sort of parcours, you know, with the hills thrown in the final, well, the peloton is just going to get smaller and smaller as we go towards the finish.
These are the 3 men that are furthest up the road for the time being. Topspot Vlaanderen there in the blue and white, dead centre of this trio as they go in the Keutenberg. There it is, 22% maximum, and that was it. They just did it. That was the maximum, you understand. It's not the Keutenberg, I think, is listed as 9.4%, but they just got over that nasty little test. You can see the way the gentleman at the side of the road is sort of strolling up here, and the attitude and the angle that he is on the side. And that is curtains by the looks of things for this man, Nico Bohem. Just can't hang on to the coattails of Preben van Heck. And Christophe Riblon, who is doing a fantastic job. We said he was the choice of that early breakaway. In fact, he bridged over to the breakers, Sean, made it into this select group, and he's doing a very good job with 31 to go.
Yes, well, he is. He's a stronger one here of the 2 we have in front at the moment. So it's going to be interesting. If you have a rider or 2 riders who are still very strong as you go to the final 30 kilometres, they could hold on. But with the 2-minute advantage, I don't think it's going to be a sufficient one. And with Tommy Vogler putting in this attack, this is going to, you know, store things up from behind. With our leaders now chasing, and then of course the peloton in close to this breakaway of 6 riders with Vogler. I'm afraid that yeah, the 2-minute advantage is not going to be great. But when you look at 2 minutes at 30 kilometres to go, you would be saying, well, maybe they have a chance. But being out there all day, I think they're going to pay the price. And you know, there's quite a few difficult climbs to come, because now after the Kutenberg we go to the Karberg once again, and then you know, there's a few more climbs before we get around to the final climb to the Karberg on to the finish.
We've got 10 kilometres to go, incidentally, before we peak out on the Kolberg. That is the third time of asking on that particular climb. And then we have 3 others, including the Coburg, for the final time. So there you go. Nice smooth road surface. This looks like it was very recently laid, and thank heaven we haven't had the rain that dogs this sort of surface on occasion. This is that little section that we saw earlier on with the punch horses. There we are. Wide of foot for soft land manoeuvring. There we are. Meanwhile, further back, as you can see, backing up, fighting for space. And you can see that this is a proper test, this particular climb, and they're just winding in Jaroslav Maric, who was in the break for CCC Polstad, and I think that's also Pirim Lang, who's being taken prisoner. And they're starting to reach out, Sean. They're realising that there's a bit of a danger here.
Yes, and we can see on the front of the bunch here, it's a Katusha rider with a Garmin chap, but the Garmin chap riders were one of the men of was the out in front earlier on, but it looks like that is the Tinkoff rider wants to push across here, and they are the ones who have been, you know, putting in the chase to close down this group of 6 riders. And if you allow another number of riders to get across from different teams, well, then it becomes more dangerous. But I think it's all going to come back together again as we see the front end of the peloton about to close down on the 6th breakaway.
Is that Kolobnev? If it is, that is quite an effort. Kolobnev's gone well here in the past, and could well have timed it brilliantly, because Katusha, they are masters of hiding themselves. I don't know whether it's something to do with the jerseys. People see red and they think, oh, BMC have done a turn, Lotto have done a turn, and kind of forget about Katusha and don't ask them to help out. Well, if Kolobnev has made it over here, that is mighty impressive.
Yes, it is Kolobnev, and we see Belkin coming across. So, you know, the teams realise that this group up here is, you know, a powerful group with a lot of very good riders, and they're just throwing riders across, because otherwise you're going to have to, you know, set the chase and to try and close it down. So if you have a man up there, well, then you can play the card. You have got somebody out there. You do not have to take up the chase to close down this break.
I'll let you into secret. Kolobnev was 150 to 1 at the start of today, and he's showing some great strength. And in fact, it was headed up by somebody on Twitter earlier today who said, watch out for Kolobnev. He can give it a go. Just remind me who you are, because I've actually been delivered about 500 tweets today. It's always great to hear from everybody, but that was quite a call. I'm sure we'll have details on that later if he manages to succeed. But Kolobnev has made it over, and that is more than a little impressive. Well, we'll see if he manages to deliver. It's a tall order at this point, that's for sure, but stranger things have happened. If you want something strange, then, of course, Tommy Vogler. And he's here doing his thing, which is always entertainment par excellence. This is looking like a handier group. If that is Kolobnev, and he looks like his mouth agape, and it's taken it out of him. Plumb tugged out. It's a lot of effort to get back on, Sean, as we've said.
Yes, it is. It takes a big effort. The gap looks, you know, a very small gap there, but still to just get across it at the rate they're going, it's taking a big effort. And we can see here where, you know, there's some riders coming across. We can see that there's a Belkin rider also come across, but Omega Pharma Quickstep, Steyr, he's lost contact, and you know, that's going to change the situation. So it just tells that, you know, the pace is really really hot at the moment.
It certainly is. They're dancing on the pedals, but it ain't pretty, and it's going to get a bit more brutal later on. Doing a terrific job of bridging over Alexander Kolobnev, who's now resting up within the chasers, who are after these guys with 30 kilometers remaining. 1 minute and 48 is essentially the gap back to the peloton, because it's so strung out. There's virtually no gap between the chasers and the peloton, probably about 50, 80 meters, something like that. These guys Last call at the bidon bar by the looks of things, and gladly taken by Preben van Heck as he loads up and gets ready to rock. 30 to go, and proper climbs doth beckon, and they're on one right now. This is the 30th climb of the day, and so there are 4 more still to come as they go in the Kottenberg. 28 to go, and in fact I think they may well have just turned out and away from it. It's the Coburg that the leaders are heading for right now, and this is a choice group. And you know, it's Kolobnev who's gone to the front and is starting to do more than a fair share of his work out front. He's determined to make this work today. I like that. 28 to go, 1 minute and 50, and there's a lot of looking over shoulders, and if you do too much of that, you're going to find yourself in all kinds of trouble. And it is Omega Pharma that are picking this up, and just look at the way it's all breaking down out front. Michael Matthews is not that far away from the nose for Orica Green Edge, and he's got to be. And there's Gerrans, the man he's supposed to be looking after, dead center of your screen right now, in a decent position, I guess, but well, clearly with work still to do. Tom Jelte-Schlachters also very much in a good spot as we speak. It is Lozada, incidentally, I'm hearing, not Kolobnev, so apologies for that if that's the case. We'll get a positive... no, it is Kolobnev. We were right. So we've bitten that one then. Oh, well, I'm feeling elevated. 27 kilometres to go. 1 minute and 47. Riblon and Van Heck, still the lone riders out front. Riblon has done such a fantastic turn. I think he's still got something on board here and looks very, very lively, especially this deep in the race, and especially the amount of work he's actually done. He's taking the wind right now, doing a proper turn, as had Kolobnev, who now finds himself just towards the back of this rather select group, nosing at 1 minute and 44 now down, just edging out ever so slightly. Punchy climb still to come, and a lot of talent up towards the front.
Yes, we can see also Paul Mertens from Belkin also in this group. So, you know, a lot of the big teams represented, and as you said, you can see on the front of the bunch it's getting a little bit scrappy. You know, nobody wants to take up the chase, no team committing themselves at the moment, and that is going to be an important part, because if they start looking about for a moment, well then, you know, they're going to the breakaway of riders there is going to take 30-40 seconds advantage, and that's where it could be very, very difficult. At 27 kilometers to go, we can see once again it's a Garmin Sharp rider, Navadaskis, who take a pull on the front, and then there's a looking around as an Astana rider go and try and pull on the peloton.
Yep, light it up, why don't you? And it looks got a rangy figure of Bozic is further back, but that's Fulsang, I believe. 26 to go, 1 minute 45, and here they come, and this is the reason why it's looking lively as anything out there, because they realise, Sean, and there's been a big shell out here. We've probably got, what, 50 riders with a chance of victory now, because they're strung out along these modest Dutch mountains.
Yes, and I think it's from the attack of Thomas Voeckler, you know, the peloton has to react, and it has been reacting for, you know, quite a while now, and they've lost so many riders out of the main peloton. It's what, 35-40 riders maximum here, and it's Nibali who just went in the attack of the front of the peloton there just a moment ago. But again, we can see they're just looking around each other, and that is the problem. You know, a lot of teams have a representative up in the breakaway, so it's going to be an interesting one now, who is really going to commit and who can commit, because when you look at that group of big favourites, there's not a lot of teams with a number of riders still in there.
There aren't, and here they are. Orica Green Edge have Gerrans and Wiening in this rather select group, as we mentioned. I guess, Sean, as well, when it's like this, and they've actually got a decent distance right now, as Kolobnev just has a look at Tommy Voeckler and says, come on, do a bit of work. Tommy's usually the one that's handing that out. There is Kolobnev. He's radio out, I notice. Doesn't want to get any kind of distraction to the job at hand. And that is Jacobs Fulsang, who is here for Astana in this group. And look at that, they've got, what, 20-odd seconds now. Open countryside, as it is. And this is going to be difficult to stay away, but there's going to be a long strand of riders chasing on to try and join this party.
Yes, well, it will all depend in the breakaway. We have, what, 3, 6, 9 riders at the moment, because we have picked up one of the breakaway riders from the earlier part of the day, Nicola Boehm from Bardinani. We also have the rider there, number 221, which is Borg Lukemans from the Wanty group, so the group has increased in numbers, but again, they're not really committed. We can see it's Vukler who is just injecting pace all the time and really, you know, trying to push on. There's a number of riders here not really committed and, you know, want to push on, as we can see. On the front here, it's Omega Pharma who are setting the pace.
Peter Knight saying, has Movistar missed out again? They burnt themselves, Peter, as you know, on, as Peter will, I'm sure will know, during the Basque Country. And maybe that's exactly what's happened, Peter. Thanks for the tweet with 26 kilometres to go. Don't forget, it's Carlton Kirby. And if you hashtag Eurosport Cycling, then it goes to all of our commentators from all the different languages here. 26 kilometres, 1 minute and 44. And I'm wondering how much kidology is going on amongst this group. There's nowhere really to hide, Sean. Everyone's had a tough day. It's just how you cope with the pain, I guess, at this point.
Well, of course, if you can sit on the rear, you save, you know, quite a lot of energy, get carried along, and you spare your energy for the final and for the climbs. But you know, it's not a thing that the riders will allow when you're out here in this group where everybody you know, really has to commit. And if you have 1 or 2 guys who want to sit on the rear and get carried along, that's when it gets totally unorganized. And that's what's happening here in that breakaway of 9 riders at the moment. There are some riders, of course, we have picked up from the breakaway, so you can understand they are very tired, but other ones who just want to also stay there at the rear end. We can see Peter winning there. He's hanging around from Marika Greenedge. He's not really committing and giving anything there, and that's what really, you know, kills the breakaway, because if everybody contributed here, they would have a much bigger advantage already.
Here it is then, Fuglsang, Martens, Van Avermaet, Tim Wellens and Peter Weening. Is Kolobnev, and he looks like a troubleshooter, doesn't he? Vogler, Kolobnev, Bjorn Leukemans and Nico Boehm, who were in the earlier break and have been absorbed into this group but will be tired. And look at Kolobnev just checking out everyone's demeanour, then has a check over. He looks very twitchy, like he means business, Sean.
Yes, well, he is trying to get everybody to contribute to this pace setting of this group, and he's just, you know, coming back and you know, going to the rear, and I suppose he wants everybody to contribute, because still with just 24 kilometers to go, he feels that everybody has to, you know, pull their weight in this group.
Well, 2 times runner-up in the World Road Race Championship, don't forget. Second in Liège-Bastogne-Liège a couple of years ago. He can go very, very strongly, and he's on decent form as well. Miguel Indurain finished 7th, did Kolobnev. So he's on a bit of a roll at the moment, and well, he's rolled the dice by bridging over to that group. It took a lot of effort to get there, and now he is the main cheerleader within it. Talking of which, we're heading up for the penultimate time, the Coberg, and just look at the crowds here, Sean. They're going to be going nuts later on. Right now, a warm welcome is being issued for Christophe Riblon, and the man who's managed to stay with him at the moment, Van Heck.
Yes, and of course we know Riblon, when he gets into the breakaway, he is one of these riders who can, you know, really continue on riding very strongly in the end, and that's what he is doing. Of the 2 breakaway with Ruben Van Hecke, he is the stronger one, and the advantage still, you know, over 1.5 minutes. This is going to be an interesting one. If the following group, if they do not get themselves organised, it will take quite a while before they will see these 2 leaders. But again, I think on the climb here we could see a selection from that Thomas Vukler group, because Vukler is definitely going to try something and you know, make it into a smaller group, because at the moment with 9 riders we can see it's not functioning as it should be.
It's not functioning as it should be, and the 2 main principles, I guess, the men with the cattle prods within this gang, within this little herd of talent, I'm not seeing much from Greg Van Avermaet. He's really saving himself at the moment. Kolovnev and Tommy Vogler are the two men that really want others to help out. There's Kolovnev in the red and white. As we drift up towards the nose, there's Tommy Vogler, third off the nose. And just stepping up and doing a turn is Bjorn Leukemans here. And from Wanty Group Gobert, one of your outside picks for the day, Sean.
Yes, and I did say, if there's a breakaway with 20-30 kilometres to go, if the big favourites, there's a bit of rivalry, a bit of tactics come into it, well, he's the rider who will try and get into breakaway, as Thomas Buckler can do that quite well, and that is exactly the situation we're seeing. Now we will have to see on the climb, will there be a big reaction from the main peloton and the rest of the favourites which are back there, or will we see this group of Thomas Buckler going all the way to the finish?
Minute 32. And it's starting to look more of a realistic possibility the deeper we get into this race. Look at the talent we've got here. There's the world champion just coming into view, Rui Costa. I think Damiano Cunego is going to feel the most wounded out of the pack. We'll see whether he manages to reach out. That is Garmin just trying to join it with Tom Yelter-Slagter. And looking behind, somebody else is going to have to, well, do their job, frankly. Big losers here? Hard to say at the moment, but Tom Dumoulin is rocking and rolling. There he is, just out of the saddle right now, coming through dead center of your screen now. And 24 kilometers to go. A minute and 32 is the advantage. Is it enough? Don't think so. They may well just absorb a couple of other riders and then kick on, but the bridge is being attempted here.
Yes, and we've seen Garmin is the team who has been doing a lot of the pulling back in the main peloton, but the peloton of big favourites are not far off. They only have maybe 12-15 seconds of advantage out here to this group of 9 riders, which is containing Thomas Buckler, Greg Van Avermaet. So I don't think they're going to hold on unless they can really work well together. And the advantage out to our 2 men up front, Riblon and Van Hecke, 133, of course. I don't think they're going to have enough in the tank to hold on.
Well, we'll see just how much metal they receive. Mental fortitude, I guess, as they cross the finish line, which will be the finish line in just a few moments' time. 200 meters to go until they reach the finish line post the Coburg. So they've dealt with the Coburg for the penultimate time. There are 24 kilometers to go. This will be the finish line, and it looks like we might have one heck of a race to get there next time by. And it's a long, long look back. They don't even afford themselves that luxury. They just want to get on with this. So a final circuit then of 24 kilometers to be dealt with. What have they got to do? 3 climbs, including the Coburg, for the 4th and final time along the way. And very gladly just taking a little bit of liquid refreshment at the 24-kilometer mark, just shy of that. And there is what is turning into a group of, 7 hopefuls at the moment. 8 hopefuls, I beg you. There you go. And in fact, that transponder is wrong. It's 20.5 kilometers because they've done the Coburg. And so we'll find out exactly how wrong they are when we get up, peek over our next climb. So it's about 20 to go, Sean, but I believe the time gap is correct. Just about a minute and a half.
Yes, a minute and a half, of course, to our 2 leaders on the road, and we can see here the group of breakaway riders. I reckon about 15 seconds of an advantage, and it's a lot of action here on the front. And Garmin Sharp is the team who is pushing on. They still have 1 rider just off the front of the main peloton, and here we see is yes, 12-15 seconds of an advantage for our seven riders at the moment.
Did you see that? A disintegration in the alliance, I think you might say, as Peter Wiening was hurling abuse at Jakob Fuglsang, who was asking him to do some work. He said, go to hell, I'm working for Gerrans and Matthews, who are behind me. And in fact, there is Gerrans in the Aussie champions jersey, dead center of your screen, makes the turn now. Unfortunately for him, he's got a lot of talent locked around him as well, not diminishing his own abilities one little bit. Damiano Cunego has made it to this group, and so, well, you never know. He will have to go long, and he's running out of options with 18k remaining of this race. Looks like they've amended it slightly, Sean. we have, I believe, a true distance now for you.
Yes, that would be more correct. As we can see on the Corberg, it was 21 kilometres the last time, so 18 kilometres would sound about right. And 126, the advantage, it is changing. It was at 128 there for quite a long time, but now it's down to 126 for our two leaders. And front of the main peloton, we can see it's Omega Pharma Quickstep who has got to, you know, take up the chase at the moment.
Well, there's a man, Alexander Kolobnev. He bridged over, did a fantastic job, and he's been harrying and haranguing everyone in front of him. He's on a descent at the moment. He needs to put as much power in his legs as he possibly can get. This could turn into be the most stunning ride for Christophe Riblon of his career. But he's on the Gul Hammelberg, as you can see at the moment, and he's still turning it and looks reasonably good nick with 1 minute and 28 advantage.
Yes, he's walking away, you know, walking quite strongly, and that's what you've got to do when you're out front all day. Of course, you're going to start feeling tired, but you just keep on working on the climbs, and he's having, you know, the occasion look about to see is this group coming across, because he will be made aware by his director of sport through his earpiece that there is a group of you know, quite strong riders coming across, but you know, he is just continuing to work away at it. And we have seen him in the past, Riblon, when he gets away in the Tour of France last year, when he was in that breakaway, you know, he worked so well and just held out there for the day.
He did. That's exactly what he did. Whether he managed it today with this charging bunch right now is anyone's guess. 17 kilometres to go. Narrowest of chances, I guess, with 1 minute and 18. It depends on how much he's left in the tank, and indeed how much these guys who are pursuing also have left. I noticed that Kwiatkowski and the Polish champions jersey is not that far off the front, and it looks like job done. I think there'll be a counter for some of these boys, and I wouldn't be surprised if it's Vogler and Kolobnev in particular who decide to break off and go for it. And in fact, Kolobnev it is that just increases the pace ever so slightly. Everyone else looks very, very twitchy, and he looks focused. Counter-attacks today, Sean. You've got Bjorn Løkkeberg here. We've also got Kolobnev.
Well, I think if anybody, you know, feels that they have got something left in the tank here, now is the time to try something. But again, when you look at, you know, Kolobnev, you know, he has a team there with Katusha, Moreno, Daniel Moreno. He's the one who can do some of this race. And when you look at all the riders, Van Avermaet, he have Philippe Gilbert. So maybe, you know, they're going to just continue setting the pace here, but not really committing themselves at 100%, because they all have, you know, maybe better riders capable of winning back in the group, and it will all depend on team orders from the director sportif.
I guess Kolobnev has the advantage of knowing that Joaquim Rodriguez is off the bike, so it's kind of down to him. So he'll be off the leash and allowed to go for it, I guess. Likewise, Peter Weening, why not roll the dice? We said there'd be a counter-attack, and you're witnessing it right now as the gap from the pack, who are rapidly approaching this intermediate group, to the two men who are up the road. Let's remind you, it's Christophe Riblon and Preben van Heck. They still have 53 seconds, and here they are. 15k to go. This could be closer than we thought, Sean.
Well, it will all depend on when we see a regrouping here. As we can see, there's, you know, riders coming across from the main peloton, and if it takes, you know, quite a time for the peloton really to just close down this breakaway, well, then the two riders out in front have the advantage. And when they do close down, as we can see here, what, there's 50-70 metres of an advantage up to the group of Thomas Vogler. Will there be a little bit of downtime then? That will play the advantage to the two leaders out in front, which have 46 seconds at the moment, but still with 15 kilometres to go, I'm afraid it's too little.
Certainly looks that way. 45 seconds only, and it looks like this group are going to be caught. I'm just seeing if there's anyone who's looking likely for a counter-attack. Peter Weening gave it a good go. Kolobnev puts his radio back in. That's interesting, because he pulled it out. I think he just didn't want distracting from the job at hand, and it's all over. And here they come, and it's Europcar actually they're doing the chasing on. I thought that Vogler would have neutralized that, and on his own, Christophe Riblon has pulled away alone, I believe, as everybody else looks like they might be thinking within that intermediate group of just backing into the pack here and then resting up a while and having another go. Who knows? 15k to go. Time to get a bit of rest. Tommy Vogler looking back and thinking, they're my teammates that are closing this gap. What's going on? Oh, dear. Well, there you are. Anybody's guess as far as some of these guys are concerned. There is column left P4 at the moment. 5, I beg your pardon. Tommy Vogler still towards the front, and they're still holding a modest gap. This is the intermediate group we're looking at right now. Roy Cobb says, I haven't heard of anything of Dan Martin. He's off the bike, we understand, out of the race, and may well have something to do with allergies, which he suffers from at this time of year. Forgive me for thinking that Riblon was alone. He is not. He still has Preben van Hek with him. Those lone 2 riders, 44 seconds clear of the intermediate group, who look like they're about to be caught by the pack, but the pace is so high at the moment. They're on a downhill section. They've got a chance of staying there, but it looks bridgeable to me. Yes, Joaquin Rodriguez, early crash, went to hospital with concussion and has had an X-ray, so we hope he's okay. Here are the main group. And Roman Kreuziger is here, defending champion, #1 in the blue and white of Tinkoff Saxo. Likewise, Simon Gerrans in resplendent in his Australian national colours. He's here. Michael Matthews as well for Orica Green Edge, also within the pack. Haven't seen much of Damiano Cunego, who was there not that long ago. Philippe Gilbert and BMC are here, and Greg Van Avermaet has been doing some great work for them as well as a marker. And in fact, Cunego just hoves into view for Lampre Merida. Rui Costa, world champion, is within the group as well. We have Alejandro Valverde, his Movistar team did an awful lot of work. Michael Kwiatkowski of Omega Pharma Quickstep in his white jersey. He, the man that shouldered into Tony Martin, one of the big engine rooms for him, sent him into the bushes. I don't think Martin's managed to get back on because the climbs came thick and fast. Stranger things will have happened, of course, but don't believe he's there. Haven't seen him. 13 kilometers to go, less than 30 seconds now. Our men out front have on some intermediate chases.
Yes, and we can see the peloton is about to catch some of that breakaway group. It's out front we see Van Avermaet, and it's Fuglsang who is pushing on. And the interesting one, we see Fuglsang pushing the pace there, and it looked like an Astana ride that was setting the pace on the front of the peloton. But now it will all depend who is going to take up the chase, and it's Movistar is the one who is I think doing quite a bit of work and stay closed down the main part of this this gap to this breakaway.
Vincenzo Nibali still here with Jakub Fuglsang, who's been busy. So is Lushenko, as we've said. Here is Fuglsang in the blue right now with Greg Van Avermaet. Just looking further back, BMC still there, and they still have Marcus Bergam, the big engine room, who's working for Philippe Gilbert today, who's also there for BMC in their black and red. Ben Swift and Edvald Bosenhagen, I believe they're both still involved. We caught sight of a Skyrider a few moments ago. Now, Ben Swift was a huge surprise to us in the Basque Country that he'd managed to stay with on some of the real testy climbs. It's all over for Tommy Vogler, as you can see, as he goes straight back into that capture group and out the back end with 12 to go. 18 seconds only now is what Christophe Riblon has with Preben van Hek. And these are your intermediate riders. You're looking at them right now. Jakub Fuglsang, and right next to him, Greg Van Avermaet, doing a super job for BMC, who've been extremely lively and looking very, very strong. So here is the main select group from the peloton. Just letting my eyes dance and looking for a Skyrider. It looks like Ben Swift is actually up here. We'll get confirmation on that for you in a moment. That would be an amazing ride by him, although he's had some stunning results, as I'm sure you know, so far this season. 11 kilometers to go, 14 seconds only now, and this looks like it's going to be a group of 4 out front ahead of the pack. But for how much longer, Sean?
Yes, that is the question. It's very active back in the what's left of the main peloton. We can see there that they're pushing on at the front. I think as we see Fuglsang and Van Avermaet joining up with our 2 leaders out on the road, I think the peloton will be about to join at the same time. So it looks like that we will have a regrouping of all in the next couple of kilometres.
If it is Ben Swift, his number, incidentally, is folded over, and there are a number of riders there, unfortunately, that have kind of similar body style from this sort of distance. I don't believe it's Edvald Boasson-Hagen, but it could be proven wrong. 11 kilometres to go. We'll have a dip down here, 9 seconds only now, and it looks like the 2 will become 4, but you'll see the pack as well. They will come, the main bunch, out from underneath the trees any moment now, and that was a big sorrowful look over the shoulder there by Riblon as he sees Greg Van Avermaet rapidly approaching for BMC along with Jakob Fuglsang, and here we are. So your winner is likely to come from this lot, and Lamprey have got 4 riders backing up Damiano Cunego in that group. Now expect him to attack on the very last climb. Talk about turning the clock back. That would be an amazing performance if it is going to be Cunego today. He's got Costa and he's got 3 other teammates as well. Yes,
but it all depends how you're feeling here, because the final climb is going to be a real difficult one with a group of riders all coming to the bottom of the climb together. The pace is going to be so fast. If you're a little bit under pressure, well, then you're going to get caught out. So it's the riders who are in real good shape, who are feeling good at the moment, they're the ones who are going to do the damage. And I'm afraid Cunego, he's not at that level at this moment. He hasn't shown it against a Valverde, against Philippe Gilbert, Simon Gerrans, those sort of riders. I think you know, it's going to be difficult for him, but it's looking like that is going to be one of these big sprints once again for this victory in the Amstel Gold.
So Greg Van Avermaet may well just put the dabs on this one, working for Philippe Gilbert if they are the team orders, and here they come. So it may well be a gentle block, let's put it that way, nothing too serious. BMC Racing, though, in the black and red, working for former world champion Philippe Gilbert, is absolutely back to his best. Twice a winner here, don't forget. And here we are, the Battelberg, 7%. And it's just over a kilometre in length. There's only one more climb to come after this, but it's the Coburg for the 4th time of asking. They'll sail over this one good and proper, and look at the twisty roads and what they are doing to the chasing peloton as we look back. It's stringing out here, Sean. You've got to be good at this point to be up front.
Yes, well, I think anybody is here in this group of 40 riders, you have to be in good shape. We can see it's Garmin who are setting the pace, and they have been doing that for quite a while now. And Slachta, of course, I think he's the man, he's the card they're going to play. You know, he had a great Paris-Nice, winning in Paris-Nice, uphill finishes, so not a great difference between this the finish here today. So they're playing that card, and they're doing the job quite well, because they're the ones who is controlling the front of the bunch and not allowing this breakaway. The 4 leaders at the moment pull a great advantage.
9 kilometres only to go. You are live here on Eurosport, and I believe that is Kolobnev who's going again. Counter-attack off the nose. Katusha, of course, have shredded team orders because Joaquin Rodriguez suffered a crash and is in hospital. We wish him the very best, but just trying to bridge over. It looks like the form of Kolobnev that's going for it again. They've also got Danny Moreno, don't forget, as another card to play. 8 kilometres to go, and one more climb remaining. It is the Coburg. Now, don't forget, we have 1,800 metres after the final climb where there might be a regroupement, or if there's a swift man out there, he might well go for it. Now, I'm hearing rumours that it's actually Nathan Earl and Eddie Boss is in the pack, but we haven't got confirmation of that. We'll get that as soon as we can. We'll keep our eyes peeled. You do the same at home. What a push that was by Kolobnev to get back over here.
Yes, but I'm not sure if it's Kolobnev. It looks like maybe Vicioso. Difficult to see Kolobnev after the effort he's after doing already to make it across, but it's certainly a Katusha rider, and it's really, you know, put pressure on the peloton here, as we can see 2 riders coming across, and the main peloton not far off.
Well, they've had so many options, Katusha, because they have basically lost their principal rider, and they're using them right now. Tom Dumoulin, don't forget, the big rangy Dutchman for Giant Shimano, more than capable of joining a party. Likewise, Greg Van Avermaet, who maybe's been given the go button, allowed to press it.
Yes, I think he's really pushing on, and it's just putting the other teams into difficulty, making them do the chase, and I think that's maybe what BMC want to do. You know, if you have a man like Van Avermaet out front, well, they've got to do the chasing.
Greg Van Avermaet, then. There's going to be punches and counter punches, and it's Edvald Bosenhagen and Nathan Earl, the Australian, who are out in this very, very select group. And I don't know how Christophe Riblon constantly finds something to offer up, but he's backing in now. It's been a busy day for him. I think he's out of resources with 7 kilometers to go. It's who's got what left. And the last climb coming with will be completed with 1,800 meters, don't forget. And I think it's Caruso, in fact, from Katusha that's made this bridge now. 7 to go, Sean.
Yes, and all back together. We can see, I think this has been the final throw of the dice here for the breakaway. As we can see, the main peloton are just going to get back to our breakaway guys. Of course, we have you know, the difficult final to come, and it's all going to be down to the final climb up the Cauberg.
I think it's absolutely right. Danny Moreno's there, by the way, and he's got teammates in abundance. And here come AG2R La Mondiale. Romain Bardet wants to play the game. Betancourt really absolutely looked second best, I'm afraid, for earlier on today. May well prove us wrong late on, but I don't believe he's part of this group with 7 to go. I don't actually trust the marker either. It seems we've been stuck on this distance for some time. There is the story of it. This is a very select group that's formed itself, and the pace is so high now, Sean, this may well come all the way to the line.
Well, I think you know, the pace is going to be very high here. You know, everybody wants to keep position on the front end of the peloton, and for that reason the pace is not going to drop at all here. As we can see, the guys on the rear end of the peloton, they're in the drafting, but they still have to put in a big effort to stay in contact here. And you know, this 7 kilometers to the finish, I think it could be a little bit less than that, because the Ben Lemberg was at 7.8, and we've been over that for quite a while.
Certainly have. Rui Costa, the world champion, you can see he just takes a big swig, throws the bead on, almost takes out a spectator. But look what's happened to Orica Green Edge. They are a team that are absolute masters of just guarding themselves, staying out of trouble, and they now take up the pace, and what a pace this is as well. That's Simon Gerrans in the champions jersey. Michael Matthews is here as well, and they're really chugging it. And there is the world champion picking it up, don't forget, for Lampre Merida, in the hope that Damiano Cunego can do something on the final climb. Well, we still remain stuck at 7 kilometers as far as the count home is concerned, so clearly the counter is in error, so you'll just have to bear with us. Once we get to the Cauberg, you'll know the climb. There is the crosshead that we've been talking about, Sean. It's not a pleasant thing to deal with. I beg your pardon. It's, yeah, it's cross headwind as they head northeast at the moment. It's an easterly wind that they're dealing with, and it's been blowing around 18 miles an hour of late. Therein is Kwiatkowski as well for Omega Pharma, number treble 1, so lucky 11 plus 1, I guess. Oh, goodness me, look at this pack and who's involved. It is a busy place to be.
Yes, it is a busy place, and we can see here they're just about to start the descent into Falkenberg, so we're only a kilometre from the bottom of the Cauberg here. So yeah, our times, our kilometres is not correct. It's moved a little bit now. This is the downhill section all the way to the bottom of the Cauberg, and we can see it's Orica Green Edge who are really pushing on the pace. Simon Gerrans, of course, we can see him in third position here, but for me, maybe a little bit too to the fore at the moment, but it's certainly the safest place to be as we come to the, come down to get around that final corner to get onto the Cauberg.
Just behind him is Michael Matthews, by the way. So if things start to fade for Simon Gerrans, Michael Matthews is a very, very safe pair of heels, I guess. Philippe Gilbert has got a wingman with him as well. I think it's Greg Van Avermaet, and who better to have? So Philippe Gilbert, you can see him looking very twitchy at the moment. Head looking one way and then the next. It's Marcus Burgard, in fact, the big engine room, the big German that's punching a hole in the air for him. Burgard himself is capable of going from some distance, and look at the pace as they come into town. Ignore the distance mark. marker because they are about to start the final climb, the 34th climb, for goodness sake, of this amazing day, the Amstel Gold Race. And look at the pace. Nobody is going to be able to pull away from this shot.
No, well, that's not possible. As we can see, Wegman from Garmin Sharp, they are setting the pace, and it's Omega Pharma Quickstep who are setting the pace at the moment. Everybody wants, you know, to get a really good position to get onto the climb.
You need a good run, and being given a fantastic lead in at the moment is Michael Kwiatkowski, the Polish champion. And they make the turn. It's Kwiatkowski is in second place. We know he can climb. We know he can sprint. We know he can win this. Can anyone stop him? That's the question. There is the young Pole right now in second place with a teammate right in front of him, and everyone else is playing catch-up, are they? It's time to go if you think you can deliver. And old Golden Shoes himself goes over to the side of the road. Can Kwiatkowski do what he did to Peter Sagan? Don't forget, at the Strade Bianche, Simon Gerrans is on his case, but this looks like it's going to be an amazing day for BMC, and what a superb effort this will be.
Yes, as we can see, Sammy Sanchez injecting a bit of pace there, but not for long. And it's Kwiatkowski and Simon Gerrans who is starting to push on. We can see the damage is causing there, gaps appearing. Philippe Gilbert also trying to stay in contact there.
Gilbert goes over to the side of the barrier. Also involved here is Valverde. Valverde starts to fade and Gilbert picks it up. He says this race suits him down to the ground. Well, it's going to suit. He's going to grind himself down to the ground in just a few moments' time. Don't forget, at the top of this climb, which is where he would have won this in the past, it's not over yet. He's got 1,800 metres to go, and he needs this gap, Sean, every inch of it.
Yes, he certainly does, and we can see Simon Gerrans with Valverde there in his wheel. Exactly the same position as he attacked in the World Champions, but the finish is much further on, and it will be an interesting one out to see, can he hold on here, because if they stay together, Simon Gerrans and Valverde, well, then it's going to be difficult for him to hold out there.
It is. Kwiatkowski is also just bridging over to Valverde, bottom of your screen. He's made it. Now, can he get through? And Kwiatkowski's got to be a big bet here. Very shortening odds rapidly as we speak. Philippe Gilbert has got to grind this on. Come on, Philippe, do the world champion thing. Go for it again. He wears rainbow jersey, rainbow stripes, as you can see, as an accent upon his jersey. He wore it with valour, although it didn't bring as much success as he possibly hoped. They've got to go for this. Kwiatkowski's got nobody to help out, and he just doesn't want to lead anyone else in. Can Gilbert make it?
Well, I think he has the advantage, as you can see at the moment, the riders are pulled apart here. Kwiatkowski on his own here at the moment, with Valverde chasing him down. Simon Gerrans there also in contention, and it looks like that Philippe Gilbert advantage, I think he should be able to hold on.
Well, Kwiatkowski's trying his level best to wind him in. Under the Flamme Rouge goes Philippe Gilbert. Oh, this is magnificent stuff, and Kwiatkowski, I don't think he's got anything left. Well, on a very long stage race, Kwiatkowski sometimes runs out of steam. He's only 23 years of age, don't forget. He probably would have started off as favourite in this kind of scenario, but Gilbert, with the bit between his teeth, knows that this is his for the taking. Can he possibly make it? It looks like it's going to be minor places. They're all looking at each other now. That's Tom Dumoulin, part of the giant team that's just making it back. 600 metres. Oh, it's going to be very close, and getting on to and just lighting up. I think it's one of the lot of Velasol boys is going for this. Jelle Valendare can deliver in situations such as this, but I think it's too late, far too late. Oh, you never know. Anyone's guess. Gilbert does a track look between his legs. Can he possibly hold on here?
Yes, it looks like he's going to hold on. We can see there's just, a lot of attacks back, but nobody really, working together. As we can see, Gilbert, he knows he's got it.
He sits up, highlights the sponsor and said, this day is mine. And I have to say, I'm absolutely delighted that Philippe Gilbert has delivered his third win of the Amstel Gold Race, and none will be more memorable than that. It's a sprint for minor places here for the last step on the podium, and it's taken by Simon Gerrans. And through come the rest. What a race we've had. A battle of attrition it was always built to be, and that's exactly what we got. What a winner, Sean.
Yes, and what an attack. I think pretty much the same place as he went for in the World Championships, and exactly the same finish. You know, that explosive attack. He took a number of bike lengths, and you know, then to hold on out there, that is the difficult thing to do, to be able to hold that advantage. And he was real powerful there, because we see a number of riders try to, you know, bridge that gap, but were, you know, making no impact into the advantage that Gilbert had pulled out.
Well, chapeau to Philippe Gilbert, riding like the world champion he was. Absolutely magnificent. BMC boys with smiles upon their faces, and none broader than on this man. Well, you can't battle class when it matters. Magnificent. Sean, 34 climbs, and he still had the legs to hold off men who are supposedly quicker than he.
Yes, well, we could see on the climb, you know, very fast pace into the bottom of the climb, and then immediately there were attacks, and it's the ones who have been, you know, showing the good form over the recent weeks, and especially the recent days for Philippe Gilbert. We see, you know, in midweek he was very impressive in the Flèche Brabançonne, and when he put in the attack, he just took 3 or 4 bike lengths and then just walked on, pulled a bit more out, and managed to hold on from, you know, all the other big favourites really.
Philippe Gilbert turned it into a 3rd victory here. Champion in 2010 and 2011. And what a piece of class that was. Just trying to hear. They've given him a throw. Well, that's the comfiest seat he's had all day. Well, Jelle van der did the jump at Kwiatkowski. Sean, talk us through these last moments. This is the attack from Gilbert left of the screen.
Yes, well, we can see Simon Gerrans is already, you know, pretty much at 100%, because he is riding away from Kwiatkowski and Valverde. But on the left-hand side, Gilbert just puts in that extra bit of pace, and we can see he's just pulling away, you know, bike length by bike length, and everybody is giving the 100% here, and it's just the ones who have just a bit more power. And Philippe Gilbert was the one who is a real specialist. When he gets this form, well, then he is so difficult to beat in this style of finish.
Good man. I thought there was too much distance from the peak to the line, but he held on and delivered in the most emphatic fashion. Great to see him back, Sean.
Yes, well, I think, you know, you have to say chapeau to the guy, because when he was world champion last year, difficulty getting his first win. He had to go to the Vuelta in September before he got his first victory, but kept on working at it, came good at the end of the season, and I think this winter put in a real good one, and as you know, winning early this season, and you know, for the next number of races, I think he's going to be the big favourite.
Well, he's on form, and he's turned that into victory here, taking it Gilbert ahead of Van der Deer. Simon Gerrans makes up our podium, finishing ahead of Valverde, Kwiatkowski, the young Polish champion, Geschke, and the rest. That's the moment when Philippe Gilbert decided to go for it. Whether there was a plateau or not, he thought he could deliver, and it was perfect timing, Sean, on a day where timing was so important. Yes,
well, I think the timing is perfect, but you've got to have the legs to be able to do it, and he certainly have that. He had that there today, and you know, he's done it before. I think if we look back at the World Championships, I think it's very much the same place where he went in the attack. So you know, he knew what he had to do, but of course you have to have the form to do that, and he certainly had it today. And when he just got that, what, 7-8 bike lengths on an advantage, you know, to be able to hold on out there, it's okay, you can put in a big attack, but to hold on for the final 1.5 kilometres, that is the most difficult.
It certainly is, and the team congratulating themselves, and chapeau to them as well, because if this race is about anything, it's about teamwork and getting yourself into the right position at the bottom of the climbs that matter, and they delivered the man who could bring them the win in perfect fashion. Well done to all of them.
Yes, and of course he joins that elite group of riders who have won. Ran Nuras, of course, way out there with 5 victories, but we had Eddie Merckx who had 2 victories in Knetterman. Yarman and Philippe Gilbert also had the 2:10 and 2:11, so now he moves into, you know, the man behind Jan Ras with 3 victories.
Here's your UCI World Tour ranking. Alberto Contador, many people's main tip for the Tour de France this year. Ahead of Fabian Cancellara, who's just had a monster season through the classics. Nicky Terpstra, likewise, what a delivery for him as well, on in magnificent form too. Sepp van Mark in 4th place, as those standings are. Well, who said Holland was flat? We've had some lumps today.
Well, it's an amazing, you know, the amount of hills that they have to climb today. When you see the number of categorized climbs that are in there, and then there's a number of ones which are not categorized, so it is a real difficult part. And you know, some people think that all of Holland is totally flat, but it's when you look at the TV today there, it's certainly not the case.
Hoe voelt dat?
Super, natuurlijk is het altijd heel mooi om zo'n klassiek te kunnen winnen, ja.
Hoe ging het?
It's always so nice to win such a classic.
Finaal, ja, tweede stuk, als ik kan zo zeggen, van de koers was heel snel, want de ontsnapping had 16 minuten. En,
very fast,
ja,
the breakaway at 16 minutes.
Dat was wel raar, want niemand wou rijden, niemand wou helpen. Dus
and nobody wanted to ride, nobody wanted to help.
Michael Schaar, en die heeft... ja, 190 gereden op kop. Dat was ongelooflijk.
Michael Schaar has around 90 kilometers riding on the front.
We zijn altijd vooraan gebleven, maar wel sparen. En dan we kregen
they always stayed near the front, spare as much as possible.
We waren in een perfecte situatie.
And then with Van Avermaet in that breakaway with a number of riders, it was a perfect situation. And just wait.
Aan de voet van Bemelenberg. Ik heb gezegd aan de ploegmaten.
And on the bottom of the Bimmelberg, say to my teammates, and I must absolutely on the bottom of the Kouberg, turning in the 4th position.
Samuel Sanchez.
Samuel Sanchez, dat was de plan.
And it was our tactic, and Sammy Sanchez to put in an attack.
Zeg, 3 jaar geleden begon je dit deel van het seizoen ook.
Good idea.
Eerst in de Brabantse pijl, eerst in de goldrace. En wat gebeurde er toen?
Ja, dat was ook die 4 koersen, maar...
Maar toen won je ook Luik en de Waalse pijl de week daarna. Ben je nu weer zoiets van plan?
Ik ben wel...
The last time you won here, you were lucky in the Waalse pijl. Flesh Vallon.
Koers per koers.
En
natuurlijk als het komt, dat is gewoon...
yeah, okay, I just take race by race.
Nee, ik ben blij. Ik heb Amstel
fantastic, and I'm so happy and I have Amstel won.
En dan ja, vanaf morgen is de voorbereiding voor Waalse pijl.
And from morning it's start to get ready for the next ones.
Good boy. Well, he did the Brabantspeel, don't forget, and 4-day break, delivers the Amstel Gold Race as well. Our congratulations to Philippe Gilbert, riding like a demon. There he is, left-hand side of your screen. At this point, Simon Gerrans probably thought he'd done enough. Kwiatkowski looked like he'd just run out of steam after 34 climbs. The 34th one, just too much for him. Valverde coming through, as you can see. A great late push from Jelle Valendert, but in the end, it was all about Philippe Gilbert. So a Belgian raiding party comes into Holland and does the job again. And I imagine there'll be a few bottles of 7% Amstel Gold waiting for him to celebrate tonight. Well, it just keep coming. Don't forget, Wednesday we have the Flèche Wallonne. We look forward to your company. That'll be in the mid-afternoon, 1400 Central European time. That's 1 in the afternoon in the United Kingdom. We have had a brutal day. It's been a joy to watch, and there's more to come. Liège, Bastogne-Liège next Sunday. Bedded under, of course, the Tour of Turkey, which also gets itself underway. Gosh, you know where your home of cycling is. You're watching it. It's Eurosport. Well, he came home today, and he'll remember this one gladly, Sean. When you've had a lot of success, and then there's been a little bit of a hiatus, shall we put it, when it comes back to you again, it's all the sweeter second time back.
Certainly is all the sweeter, and I think He's got the timing right, you know, to win this one with a number of classics still out there. He's in, you know, a great position, and it doesn't go without putting in hard work. And we've been, you know, hearing about the winter he's put in. He's put in a very serious winter, a lot of training, and it pays off.
Philippe Gilbert, he put it in the bank. Today, he spent it. And everyone else, well, was exactly that. Just plain spent. Philippe Gilbert was a world champion, and today he rode like one. Turning the clock back? No, he's looking ahead. And today, that's where he finished. Head and shoulders above the rest. I'm Carlton Kirby. Alongside me, Sean Kelly. Thank you for your company. Plenty more cycling to come on your home of cycling, Eurosport. We'll see you next time.